All right, could you please say your name and where you're from, both city and country?
Okay, my name is Susanne Hoffmann-Benning, and I'm from Zusenhofen, Germany. That's a very, very small village in the Black Forest.
Are you a student? And if not, what kind of job do you have?
Okay, I'm an assistant professor here.
How long have you been an assistant professor?
Okay, I've been an assistant professor this is my 6th year. But I was here before as a postdoc, so I've been in the country for a total of, oh gosh, since 98. So you can do the math. And I was actually here before that for 5 years as a grad student. I just left in between and came back.
Why did you come to the United States in the first place?
Originally, I came because my then not yet husband was here, and so he pretty much proposed that I should come here, and would be a little bit closer than flying across the Atlantic to visit each other. So that was when I came here to grad school.
So you knew someone in the United States?
Yes, but he was actually German too, so he'd just come here earlier, and he decided to stay here, and so the choice was really, did I want to go for 5 years of long distance, or was I done after 2 years of long distance relationship? And then when we came back, he got a faculty position here, and well, we were married, we had 2 little kids, so that was kind of obvious.
What initially shocked you about American culture? Was it something with the food, clothing?
There was nothing that really shocked me. I mean, people in East Lansing aren't really all that shocking, you know. But the one thing that Germans don't do and that I had to get used to is that Americans have this very friendly way of greeting by saying, "Hi, how are you?" If you say that to a German, they tell you how they are. And here it's just a greeting. So I once told a cashier at Myers about the terrible headache I was having, and she looked at me with like big eyes, and that's when I realized that, yeah. So the way how people interact is different from the German way. It's a lot more polite and friendly. Yeah.
Did you have culture shock?
Oh
follow
yeah.
up?
Oh yeah. I mean, I had a lot. Not when I came the second time, but when I came as a grad student, yeah, for about the first year, everything in Germany was so much better than here. And and then I gradually started liking things. And so by the time we left, and I really wanted to leave and go back to Germany. By the time we left, I liked everything here, including things like peanut butter and tortilla chips, which I really hadn't liked initially. And then I went back to Germany, and I basically had the same kind of culture shock again. And I was sitting in Germany, and I was missing all these things from the US, like the ability to go shopping in the middle of the night.
Because they do close.
Yeah,
in Germany.
exactly. And at that time, they closed very early in Germany. They closed at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So you really had a hard time going shopping after work. And it was pretty stressful, so everybody went on Saturday mornings. And there was only Saturday morning because they closed Saturday afternoon too. So now it's better, but it's still not like it is here.
Did you have any problems fitting in or feeling accepted when you first got here, as a grad student or other?
Actually, not really. Americans are really open. So when I was a grad student, I would go to parties, and I mean, people didn't know me, but they would come up and say, "Hi, how are you doing? How do you like the US? How have your first days, weeks, months been?" So everybody is really trying to make you at ease. What I did notice is that a lot of these connections you made are really acquaintances and not friends. So in Germany, people really, they can leave you alone at a party if they don't know you. So, but then the people you meet, those become really friends. And so the process is a little bit different here. But Americans are also very polite. So there was one guy after I was here for about a year. We talked at a party, and he looked at me and he goes like, "Man, your English has really gotten better." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes like, "Well, you know, I used to barely understand you." So apparently he was like pretending throughout whole conversations that he would understand me, when really he was just asking questions and I had no clue what I was saying. In Germany, people will tell you, I can't, don't get it. Just say it again or speak a different language. But
So here it's a little bit more, like you just
people
sort
are
of
more,
a nod.
they make it easier for you to communicate, and they make it easier for you to fit in. I noticed the same thing when we came back the second time. We had a small child who didn't speak any English, and he would walk up to random strangers, speak German, and they would, scrape up the little bit of German they knew, and they would try speaking German to him. And then once he started speaking English, he would like practice sentences, really literally at strangers. He'd walk up to some student playing hockey near our house and walk up to the guy and say, "Hey, how are you? My name is Niels. You have a nice car." And the guy talked to him. And in Germany, they would like go, "Don't touch my car. You might scratch it."
So it's a little bit less socially open to conversation, just like
In
between
Germany-
strangers, or
In Germany, in big cities, yes, for sure. So part of it is the U.S. versus Germany, and people being in general more polite, I think, when they are American. But part is also is that East Lansing is a lot smaller than Berlin, where we had been at that time. So it's both the size of the city and the different culture.
Were you ever discriminated against in both traditional way, which is person to person, just in a conversation or just like in a group, or in the professional world where you got passed up for a position just because you were a foreign student or you couldn't exactly speak English as well as someone else?
I don't think so. I mean, no.
No, so you never had any experience
No.
with that? That's
No.
good.
It's a university town. I would say they are very used to international people. So.
How did the process for getting your student visa work in Germany?
Oh, okay. So that was a long time ago, and pre-computers and pre-internet. No, not pre-computers, but pre-internet. And so it went by paper mail, and it did not work. I kept getting this letter telling me that I was missing. They didn't have my transcript. And so I actually came here on a visitor's visa, made an appointment, went up into the appointment room, and it turned out they had my transcript. And they had the original transcript they requested. But what they wanted was a translation of the original transcript, which they hadn't told me, so of course I wasn't sending it. And so, yeah, I translated it. I had a colleague here or a professor here who was fluent in German. He notarized that it was translated properly. And then I got my paperwork, and I drove to Toronto, actually, in the middle of the winter. And one day I dropped off my visa, the next day, my paperwork. Next day I picked up my visa, and it was all fine.
So did you have a student visa then? Is that a 4-year visa or?
Yeah, so at that time I think it was an F1 visa. And so the second time when we came here, we came on an H1, I think is what it's called, visa. Except that my husband had the position, so he got the H1 and I got H2B or something. So that means you can come along, but you can't work. And so we got that in Germany, then we came here and I got a position offered here, and then I did a transfer of status. And, well, the problem there is they only have a limited number of these visas, so they usually run out by like April or May.
So you have to get.
So I had to
early.
wait till October, till the next batch started, and then I got my visa.
What do you miss most about Germany?
Chocolate and the bread. And if you asked other Germans, you might get the exact same answer.
I have to admit, it was very good when I went.
You went there?
It was
Yeah.
very, very good.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you get the same chocolate here, but, if I buy Milka or Rittersport in Germany, the normal price without advertisement is 99 cents, like euro cents. So that's like, I don't know, $1.30. And you know what the stuff costs at Meyer's, which is probably the cheapest
Yeah.
place to get it. It's more than double, and that completely ruins any desire for buying the chocolate. But if you go there, you can have what you want.
All the stacks of chocolate bars.
Mm,
Do you plan on staying in the United States?
yeah, I actually became a citizen
Oh, you
last
did?
June, yeah.
Congratulations.
So, yeah. And the test isn't as bad as you are told by your teachers in social studies in high school.
Well, how does the test work? Or
Actually, the test is the easiest part. you have to do all sorts of things. So before you get that, your green card, you actually have to get a physical. And that physical has to be by a government-approved doctor. And that was pretty elaborate. Then you get fingerprinted. Then you have a criminal background check. I think between getting my first green card and now I must have had 3 or 4 criminal background checks. So then you get your green card, and that is actually, in terms of traveling, almost like being American. You can cross the border quite freely. And then I waited quite long, mostly out of lethargy, actually, more than anything else. But what I figured is I'm living in this country and I wanted to vote here. And so when you apply for citizenship, you fill out another batch of paperwork where you have to document all the travel you did abroad, not within the country. So, but you kind of are told that when you get the green card, so you basically make Excel files and you keep it all, and you also are told that you have to inform the government if you move. So you make sure, you follow the rules. In my case, it was very straightforward. I had to go for another fingerprinting and another picture taking, and then I had the interview, which is also including the test. And so, but what happens is during that last fingerprinting and picture taking, they give you a little CD, and it has 100 questions on it. It has the 100 answers. Okay, so it's really not, what they are gonna ask, and what they give you the answer, so you can study for it. And quite frankly, if you've lived here for a while, you actually know most of the answers. So, I mean, you know who your local representative is and things like that. So there are a couple questions that you don't know, and so those are the ones that you practice. And, on your way to the test, which was in Detroit, you have the CD in your car, and you listen to it, and it goes through twice by the time you make it there. And so what you have to do during the test is they want to hear you talk. So nodding and shaking your head isn't going to cut it. You actually walk in and you just talk. So they can hear that you speak some sort of decent English. And then they have, I think, 10 questions, and you need to get 6 correct. Then they stop. As soon as you have the right number correct, you're done.
They're like...
Yeah. And then they also take that paperwork that you filled out, and it asked all sorts of questions, okay? So you also get the questions, have you ever solicited a prostitute, or have you ever been a prostitute? Have you ever been a member of a terrorist organization? Things like that. So a lot of them make sense, and a lot of them are a little bit funny. But you fill them out on the sheet, and so during the interview they have that sheet. And so they ask you the same questions again. And so I guess the point is to make sure you answer them the same way.
Just in case you're just sort of guessing? Or...
Yeah, exactly. Or somebody else filled out your paperwork and you're coming for someone else. I mean, you have to bring your ID and everything with you. They also ask about your travel. And it's okay if you don't remember every single thing, because it's usually, in my case as a scientist, it's a lot of travel. So I didn't remember everything, but remembering most of it is fine. Yeah, and then they basically tell you right there whether they recommend you for citizenship, which, yes, usually they do. And then they ask you, then they tell you when approximately the swearing-in will be. And so in my case, I knew I was going to travel again, so I requested that it wouldn't be the first opportunity, but the second opportunity, and they did that. So it's really, really bad to have an appointment and not to go.
Yeah.
A colleague has done that, and he could start his whole process all over again. But if you so you have to stick with these appointment times, and you have to really make it. But then things go very, very smoothly. And so at the swearing-in ceremony,